Welcome to Drinks, Jokes, and Storytelling, the ESPN for all things comedy, with your hosts, Mark Riccadonna and Richie Byrne. And now, grab a drink and welcome Mark Riccadonna and Richie Byrne.
Hey, welcome to Drinks, Jokes, and Storytelling. I'm your host, Mark Riccadonna, and with me, as always,
Richie Byrne. Did you see me? I was like,
you were very, very serious.
Serial killer look going there.
Oh, man. A lot of stuff going on. A lot of things happening.
Yeah. Look at you, though. I mean, look, you actually have a better background than when you're home.
Than normal. I guess I'll put it in with my drink. I'm in the heart of Texas. So I got the Heart of Texas Red Ale from the front desk.
Nice.
I was so excited they had alcohol at the front desk because I was like, I got a podcast in an hour.
They have alcohol in the cars.
Yeah, I know, right? And that's the other thing. I have to go do some interview stuff later. They don't care if I'm drinking in Texas. They're cool with it.
No, they're cool. They're cool.
God bless Texas.
I went to the front desk to buy a beer and a gun.
Oh, well, I think we should bring our guests out. We got a great show today.
Great show. Let's do this.
I'm super excited. Let's bring out Raelyn, Nelson, and JB.
Hey guys.
What's happening?
What's up? How are you guys?
Doing good. We actually just got back from being on the road, so we're a little low
We're in
energy.
Recovery mode. I'm drinking water today.
I just got back from the road, and alcohol is not my friend.
Right.
Well, we did a run in New Orleans and Mississippi, so yeah.
And the first night was really late. We went on at 11:15,
Something like that, yeah.
And
wow,
that is so late, you guys. You know, like I'm up at 11:15, but I'm not trying to do anything. You know, it's so late. It's just been so long since we've played those late gigs that it just, you know, if you don't get the sleep recovery, then you're just like, whoa.
Yeah, and it used to be all the gigs were late like that. And I don't know, it's a good thing that's happened. I don't know what happened, but the start times have started moving up. I think bars wanted people to stay there till 3 a.m. So they'd start as late as they can to keep people there. But now it seems like
nothing good happens at 3 a.m. Let's get everyone home by then.
Yeah,
you know,
that's true.
Well, I think the pandemic had something to do with that too, because bars had to close earlier.
Yeah, because Nashville
started earlier, you know.
Nashville was always a late, like in the 90s was a late town because bars were open until 3 and they were wide open. So when headliners would start about 11:30. It seemed normal back then, but I'm glad it's changed.
Yeah, I think the pandemic made people realize, like, why the fuck are we staying out so late?
Yeah.
I can just start earlier. Yeah.
It's the same amount of hours. Get your work done. Get a good night's sleep.
Exactly.
It's so hard to hold off drinking too. If you're playing at 11, like to hold off to drink a beer until 9 o'clock or so, it's just so hard to do.
And in New Orleans, I mean, come on.
Yeah.
People don't understand how tough that is for entertainers, that we have to hold out from drinking. So.
It really is. I mean, because other thing that people don't realize is we're always working when everybody's out. So everybody else is out having fun. It's their hours of excitement, and we have to somewhat stay professional and work. And so it's like, especially if it's a night you're getting paid.
Yeah. And we had like the first time we went out in January, it was the 38 Songwriters Festival down in Florida. And there's tons of bands that play, you know, and we played all hours, but we had a 6:30 start time. We're like, oh, this is great. We're going to have a night. We're going to get hammered. So we start gearing up at, you know, right before we play. And then the organizer comes up and it's like, hey man, we've had a band drop out because of COVID. Can you guys fill in another show tonight? You know, we're a few beers in our room. I'm like, yeah, okay. What time? It's like 11:30. And it was too late then. We were like, well, they're going to get a show at 11:30. And luckily everybody there was hammered.
Yeah.
They were so drunk. Steve Earle played right before us, acoustic by himself. And there was a bar fight. So that tells you these guys were throwing down.
Oh my God.
Actually, that was my favorite show of the weekend at that
Yeah,
festival.
it turned out to be pretty good.
Yeah. It's my favorite one.
I actually, it's funny, when I met you, the weekend I met you guys in Nashville, I went out to a record store out by where Anna lives and bought a Steve Earle album.
Oh, yeah.
Right on.
Was it Copperhead Road?
It was Towns. It was all Towns Van Zandt songs.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Our
It was,
buddy, who's one of our many, many drummers that we had, a high school buddy of mine's his drummer now.
Wow.
If you play drums with us, you get a much better gig eventually. And generally about 2 weeks before we need you to play something that we're scrambling for the next drummer. But it's a good gig for drummers because they immediately get a better gig.
Who are you guys? Spinal Tap?
Yeah, exactly. Except they all live is the problem.
You get better gigs.
That was the same philosophy I had for girls. If you date me, your next one will marry you.
There you go.
So
I remember
you guys.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, you guys have more. You're touring like the rest of the year. Yeah, like your
Kinda.
schedule is pretty full.
A little bit. We have just a couple of shows in May, and then just a couple in June, and a couple in July.
Yeah, it's about every
pretty light.
other weekend. It's expensive to tour now.
Yeah,
especially with gas and everything. It's like you booked these shows months ago, and then you get back out and like, wait, this is costing us way more.
Gas is
way more.
almost $4 a gallon now.
Wow. It's $5 out here.
Play in Maryland. It was only $3.16.
Really?
It was just in Maryland right before I came here. I
Well,
was
we
like,
did
I
drive
saw
to-
the gas station. I was like, has this been broke, like out of business for a couple of years?
I guess the closer you get to the White House, the cheaper the gas gets. Is that how
Yeah. Although when we drove out to Texas, it was nice because you hit Arkansas and then Texas, and the gas prices were relatively low. Relatively.
Ish. Yeah. They were still $3.
But anyway,
something.
yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, it just costs a lot of money to get a band out on the road. And so we have to ask for a lot of money.
But between that and the podcast we do, we've got plenty. We've got plenty to do.
We enjoy doing the podcast, and I really want to put out new music. And if we're touring all the time, that our energy goes there. And so,
Yeah, it's funny because the podcast was just to get us through the pandemic for something to do because you weren't allowed to go out. And we've met so many cool people like you guys that we're like, let's just keep doing it, man. This is fun.
Right?
And we've had a great guest list. Our hit rate for asking people to be on, like we've had some great people come on. So it's been fun.
Who are some of the upcoming ones? I saw you guys started back up. I'm super excited to go through my YouTube and start watching new episodes.
We just put out Nick DiPaolo, and
We had Carrot Top was the first one of the new season, and then Nick DiPaolo. I think John Reap comes out tomorrow.
and then maybe Dan Soder.
We had him on.
We talked to a ventriloquist, Terry Fader. Are y'all aware of him in Vegas?
I know the name.
So before the podcast, we're like, when he talks to us, are his lips gonna move? Is
Like he's just sitting there stone faced and having a conversation with us and nothing moves.
and JB's like, do you think he's just gonna talk to us through a puppet the whole time? But of course he didn't, and he did do a little bit of his act for us, which was actually phenomenal.
It's pretty amazing. He was very talented, but of course, yeah, it was
Us assholes. We were like, he's gonna sit there and talk to us about.
I think we even asked him if he'd ever done an interview without moving his mouth, because I asked him if he could do his own voice without moving his mouth. And I'm like, dude, you should do all your podcasts that way. I can't believe he hasn't thought of it. Just pretend like it's frozen, but the thing's going.
There was a documentary. Oh man, what was the name of it? I just told our friend John to watch it, and Terry Fader's in it, and it's all ventriloquists. They're like the weirdest people on the planet.
Dude, he said they have a convention every year, and I'm like, somebody needs to make a documentary at that convention.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
Maybe we should all make a plan to do shrooms together and go to the ventriloquist
I'm in.
convention.
Yeah, make our own documentary about us at the ventriloquist convention. Dripping balls.
I think that's the documentary is they follow like 4 ventriloquists all at different levels, and Terry didn't break yet. And
That's
then all
crazy.
of a sudden he got on.
I'm no dummy.
What was the show he was just on? The American Idol or one of those?
America's Got Talent or
Oh
something?
yeah, America's Got Talent.
So it was right before he went to even audition for that. He would have been
told us
great
that
on
whole
American Idol.
He told us that whole story and doing that stuff.
Yeah, Simon Cowell told him he's the most famous person in the world.
No, he was the
most
one of the
talented.
top 2 most talented people in the world.
That's what it was. Look at me starting rumors.
Because he can do like Dean Martin singing.
Yes,
as a
the
puppet.
singing is amazing.
Like, how do you sing while you're working a puppet?
He did a little of it while we were doing the podcast, and he would keep his mouth shut and start doing these soul songs. Like, man, it is a trip to watch him do it. And it's weird that you say that there's all of these ventriloquists, because I was thinking back through the years, there seems to be like one for every decade. You know, you remember Willie Tyler or whatever back in the day? There was always whoever did Madam way back in the day, but there was like one every time, and I guess he's the guy now.
Right.
Or Jeff Dunham.
Oh yeah, Jeff Dunham.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Guy Richie.
Edgar Bergen was the big one back. Candace Bergen's father was
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's yeah. He was like, back in the day with like Burns and Allen and Edgar Bergen and Jack Benny and Edgar Bergen. It was all Edgar Bergen.
Oh my God. That's like,
so it was great because it didn't matter. You could be the worst ventriloquist ever on radio. Who's
Right. That's what I couldn't figure that out when they were talking about doing a ventriloquist act on radio. I was like, you just have a different voice you're doing. I mean, and I think he even said they weren't really concerned about not moving their mouth. I'm like, well, no shit, because nobody can see them.
that's a sitcom in itself, just like a bunch of ventriloquists coming on radio. I forgot my puppet. I can't do my act. Who gives a shit?
Just do this.
Get a sock.
Every ventriloquist also has the same opening line. Say hi to all the nice people. I like all these people, except you.
I do remember Norm Macdonald on I was going back obviously down rabbit holes when he passed away, but he used to call into the Dennis Miller show, and there was a bit where he was doing ventriloquist over the phone, but this it was like a Holocaust denier or something. He was just saying horrible things. Oh, it was so funny.
I worked with a guy years ago, and he said he was a ventriloquist, and he had one of those bullhorns, and he dressed it in like a suit. He put like a suit and asking questions, and then he'd get behind it and he'd talk. It was the funniest thing I've ever seen in my life.
That is brilliant.
Him, but it was just so funny that he'd be like, "So how does it going today?" "Oh, it's going really good."
Tom just put in the private chat. It was called Dumbstruck, the name of the documentary.
Dumbstruck. I'm gonna have to watch that because I'm a documentary freak.
Oh, it's so funny. There's some crazy people in the documentary.
This one?
Yeah, ventriloquist.
Okay.
How hard is it to be on the road a lot and try and find time to record? Is that
That's hard.
Is that a problem? Because you have one studio that you use all the time, or how does that work?
Yeah, I've got a small one out behind my house, and we've done everything there. So on the plus side, we're not on the clock when we are recording, but most of the time we'll get a song done and record it before we've ever even really played it all the way through. We're sort of writing it as we go, and then get the parts down and then recording. All right, let's kind of learn this one now that we've got it in. But
now that we know what the parts
now
are.
that we know how the song goes, but she and I will bang it out. We'll bang it out on like an acoustic guitar and get sort of an arrangement, and then we'll start figuring out how parts and stuff like that. But it's funny, we do have a lot of that.
And even before that, I'll just when I have an idea, I'll voice memo it and send it to him, and then if he doesn't respond, then I know it's probably not a good song. So I just don't bring it up again. But usually, that's a long time ago now. Usually he'll respond, yeah, let's do it. And he'll send it back with another idea. Or when we get together, we'll bang it out. But I remember the last one I was showing you, I did it here because I just happened to have the ukulele in my car.
Oh yeah.
And I couldn't even do it. I was like, I had to turn away from him and be like, okay, don't look at me while I'm doing it. Cause it's just so scary to get a first idea out. It's when the first time you play it for anyone,
And now obviously, because I'm a smart ass, when it's done, there's going to be 3 or 4 seconds of complete silence before I say anything, just to, hang it out there. Usually a blank stare, like.
That's what Richie does every time I tell a joke.
Yeah. It's more like 12 seconds of silence.
Yeah.
Right.
Raelyn, did you say ukulele?
Yeah, but I write all the songs on guitar because there's more notes to work with because there's more strings, obviously. But in the band, I play ukulele, and that day I just happened to have it in the car with me. So.
Cool.
But it's ukulele, an electric one plugged into a guitar amp, so it sounds.
And I play it like a guitar. I'm not strumming it with my fingers.
Oh, that's
I
really
play it with
cool.
a pick, so it just it just has a ukulele sound, but played like a guitar.
I went to see McCartney. Well, I've seen him a few times, and he honors George Harrison because George Harrison was a great ukulele player.
Yeah.
And McCartney plays ukulele and sings Something, and the song Something. And as it moves on, he slowly brings in the rest of the band till it's this big thing. But it just starts with just him on ukulele, and it's the coolest moment. I think maybe the best moment in his show. It's so cool the way he does.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of my favorite George Harrison quotes about the ukulele was, "You can't play it without laughing." It's just such a fun instrument.
Well, apparently he used to take them and hand them out to all his friends, like Tom Petty, all those guys. So when they got together, they would sit around and play ukulele in a big circle.
Yeah, no, he was apparently a tremendous ukulele player.
Yeah, it was.
Pretty good guitar player too.
Mm-hmm. He's my favorite Beatle, I think.
Oh yeah, a lot of people say that now, George Harrison.
Yeah.
How about you, Richie? Richie's a Beatle nut. Let's put
My
him on
favorite
the
people is
spot.
Pete Best, who
The unsung hero.
They were never the same once he left.
they would have been big if they didn't get rid of that guy.
Fucking
How about
sellout.
you, JB? Who's your
Favorite
favorite
Beatle?
Beatle?
My
Ringo?
favorite Beeble. I do love Ringo. I think he's completely underrated as a drummer. I mean, not with musicians, but people don't think about him being a great drummer. And I started playing. My first instrument was drums, so I love drummers. And he's got a swing. He's got a thing that nobody can do.
Nice.
More. I saw a drummer. I can't remember who it was on YouTube, and he was playing Beatles songs, but drumming the way that a normal drummer would drum.
Right.
And he goes, now you tell me what's better. And it was he goes, this is what Ringo did. This is what a normal drum, and it was just so tremendous. He had like song after song where you're going, oh my God, Ringo just had a style all his own.
Yeah, and he wrote like drum hooks. Like it's almost a catchy part of a song,
Yeah,
there's a great video of his old kit set up somewhere in a fancy studio, and a bunch of A-list drummers coming in and playing on his set and talking about it. Taylor Hawkins, Chad Smith, all those guys coming in. It's great.
Yeah.
R.I.P.
Yeah, that was cool. That was very cool. So
Sorry.
what were you going to say? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was just going to tell you guys a funny story about, we did a music video once and we didn't have a drummer for it. So we grabbed just a guy we knew to do it. And it was so bad because
well, I asked him, I was like, you can just, kind of keep time. You don't have to move your feet or anything, but you can play. Oh, yeah, I got this.
I got it.
But it turned out he was just kind of like, ding, tong, 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 ding, ding, ding.
It looked like a third grader that you just hand sticks and go, here, pretend like you're playing drums. So there's all these shots you can bear. Like he's in it for a half second with his arm in the air and stuff. I'm trying to like edit all around him. It was,
And at the very end of the video, we had my children, who were really little at the time, came in and were the band. They just popped in and were all of a sudden the backing band. Mm-hmm. And I feel like my son doing the drums was so much
at 5
better.
years old was more locked in than this guy.
It's like Animal from the Muppets.
Yeah, exactly.
Reggie, do you believe in the Paul is dead theory? Conspiracy? No.
I had to peel her back from that rabbit hole. She's like, "Did you know that there's a theory?" I'm like, "Yeah."
I'm like, I think I believe it.
She's like, "I think it's true." I'm like, "No."
No. If 28, I know all that crap.
It's fun to read about though.
I got sucked in, man. I watched all that.
I wish I was around then, because apparently it really took like people truly believe this, that this was a different guy.
Oh yeah.
I've been for 2 or 3 days. Yeah.
What is the theory? I don't know it.
That in 1966, Paul died in a motorcycle accident, and they got this guy Billy Shears to take his place.
Billy Shears.
Billy Shears is the name that he says in Sgt Pepper. He goes, "The one and only Billy Shears," when he's introducing Ringo and so everybody said that was Billy Shears' way of letting you know that he actually created Sgt Pepper and not Paul McCartney. It was a whole in Abbey Road, on the cover of Abbey Road, when they're crossing the street, there's a car behind them and there's a license plate that says IF28. Paul would have been 28 that year, so they're saying it's if he had lived, he would have been 28, shit like that.
This sounds like the same people who think Keith Richards is actually JFK Jr.
Or my favorite, I think, is Alex Jones is really Bill Hicks. Have you heard that one?
Oh my God, poor Bill Hicks. He got so bloated.
Yeah, and they kind of resemble each other in the face, and apparently
They
Bill
both
Hicks
have
never died.
glasses.
Yeah.
I don't even know if that's true. I like conspiracy theories. They keep things interesting.
What's what I've been saying about like when they're censoring stuff off of Twitter and whatever, even if it's a wacky conspiracy theory, we used to love that stuff when we like in my 20s, Art Bell on the AM radio when you're driving through the middle of nowhere. And maybe you believed it, maybe you didn't. Who cares? It was great stuff. And when they start pulling Alex Jones and all these people off, I'm like, I love a good conspiracy theory.
Yeah.
I think the crazier the better.
Yeah. I mean, they had this National Enquirer, all that shit at the stands at grocery stores. I mean, they were just spouting conspiracy theories, and nobody had a problem back then.
Yeah.
Well,
Elvis and Bat Boy.
Oh yeah,
right. JFK Jr. apparently changed that whole thing because his wife hated the paparazzi so much that he wanted to get out of the limelight. Have you heard that one?
No.
Yeah,
that's why he became Keith Richards.
His wife couldn't go. She couldn't disappear without her sister. That's why the sister was on the plane also, and all this shit, and that they're living somewhere.
The thing is now, most of those people would be dead by Elvis is clearly not still alive because he'd be dead by now. He's too old, you know what I mean?
Right.
So eventually those just go away.
I mean, he was born in 35, so he's not. He could.
That's not too bad. That's younger than Papa Willie.
He wasn't really that healthy though.
Maybe in the end, maybe he got healthy.
Maybe that's what it was. He got skinny again.
Yeah.
They just got a fat
nobody
guy.
recognized him.
Yeah, I was gonna say, how old is your grandfather?
He'll be
104, I think. No.
he'll be 89 in just a few days.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a funny
Nice.
story with his birthday actually, because he was born April 29th. But the doctor didn't do the birth certificate until after midnight because he was just born so close to midnight. So the birth certificate said April 30th. So it was actually April 29th, but for a long time he was told April 30th, and then he's like, oh, it's actually April 29th. So he celebrates both days.
See,
why not?
Wouldn't it have been perfect if he were born April 20th?
Right? Yeah.
I didn't know he was that close to it. Like,
Yeah.
So close.
I'm sure it haunts him at night too, just thinking about that. I was so close.
Considering that came later, they should have just done it on his birthday.
I know. I was about to say, why not just do 4:30?
Tack on an extra few minutes on.
Yeah.
Or even 429 is cool. 429.
Yeah.
429's for the real potheads.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sounds like a prison
Those are
sentence.
429's when you know you mean business. Anybody can do 420. 429. That's where it's at.
Hey, I've decided, you guys, back to Elvis. I decided I want to die like him, though, if he is
On the
dead.
toilet?
On the toilet?
Yeah, because you know when you die, you shit and piss everywhere, all the last bit of you. And if
That's
you're already
true.
on the toilet, it just goes in there, and nobody has to clean it up.
Well,
No fuss, no muss.
They
Yeah.
said Elvis was a very clean person. He was very neat that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the toilet. Came into the toilet.
I wonder if his one of his assistants, like Red or somebody, like
Red.
cleaned him up after they found him. Just
I bet he had a bidet, and they just squirted it. He already shit and pissed everywhere in the toilet, and they just bideted him down. Hosted. They didn't.
Yeah, I heard he passed out on heroin and he drowned from the bidet. It just filled him up from the bottom, came all the way up.
You know what I love?
That's a conspiracy I heard.
Like a balloon.
Yeah.
He was working on his final song. Here I sit all brokenhearted.
Have y'all been to Graceland?
Yeah.
Can I tell you a story about Graceland? I worked in Robbinsville, which is right there, Mississippi.
Yeah.
And I was at a casino there, and I'm working with this other comic, and I didn't have a car. I had flown out, and he goes, "Hey, man, is there anything you want to do this week? Let me know. I'll take you." Because he had a car, and I go, "Yeah, let's go to Graceland." He goes, "Nah, man, I hate Elvis." I'm like, "Really?" Like, what? Like, all right, you hate Elvis, which we could argue forever if you want, but on top of it, you're right here. You're not going to go to Graceland because you hate Elvis. So I didn't get to Graceland because this asshole hated Elvis.
Oh, you got robbed.
I mean, I remember we'd pass it every day. We'd go other places, and I'd see the plane.
Richie would be looking out the window like.
You know what I love? When the Beatles went to visit him in '64, he didn't bother to learn their names. He just called them all Beetle. He'd be like, "You want a drink, Beetle? Hey, Beetle, you want some TV, Beetle?" He never learned their names. He just called them Beetle.
That's some alpha shit right there.
Yeah, man. Yeah. I'm Elvis.
That's kind of like a buddy of mine used to work construction with a guy, and the foreman didn't learn anybody's name and called everybody Jimmy. Hey, Jimmy. I don't know why he picked Jimmy, but everybody on the crew's name was Jimmy. He didn't want to fucking bother learning names.
I heard that they did. The guys from Saturday Night Live told me this when they were at Stand Up New York one day when I was working the door, because they all came in. It was like John Lovitz, Norm Macdonald, Chris Rock, like that era. Right. They all showed up at the club at the same time, and they go, "Let's take a gentleman's bet of who gets the biggest applause." And I guess Elvis and the Beatles did the same thing when they were at Graceland. They go, "Let's have everybody go out one at a time and see who gets the biggest applause from the crowd." And apparently John won, but then they all decided because Elvis got such a big applause, he actually won because he's just one guy. So like they gave it to Elvis. But out of all of those guys, out of all the Saturday Night Live guys of that era, take a guess who got the loudest applause.
But who was there?
So it was
listed.
Dennis Miller, Chris Rock,
maybe
Norm Macdonald, John Lovitz, Kevin Nealon.
Lovitz.
Chris Rock.
Kevin Nealon.
Richie Byrne goes home with the prize.
Yeah.
It was John Lovitz, and he never did stand-up before. He went up.
What?
He was in a stand-up.
He was.
Now he does stand-up, but back at that time, he didn't do stand-up. He went up and did other people's material. He goes, "A good friend of mine, John so-and-so, does a joke like this." And then he would do a joke from somebody else's act.
That's brilliant. Can't call him stealing. He's just quoting.
Yeah, he just went up and quoted his favorite comics.
Yeah, it's like a cover band.
Wow, yeah, man, that is a nice angle.
Yeah.
And it was all jokes that you've probably heard. I have a big penis, or I have a tattoo of a big penis. It's on my little penis. He did it. People accuse me of being a Jew. I'm actually Jewish. I bought $20 worth of food, but only $5 worth of toilet paper. It was all jokes that you've heard a million times, but he would quote the person he heard it from.
He like with that cadence that he has, he must have been hysterical.
My favorite thing of his was at I don't remember which roast it was, and they were just drilling him for being gay. Then at the end, during the credits, he's there with like 2 hot girls, and he's like, "See, not gay."
Listen,
Speaking of bad jokes like that, that's one of my favorite roast moments ever when Norm was roasting Bob Saget, and he was basically, I think the story was his dad gave him a retirement joke book or something like that, and he really liked Bob, so he was doing the worst. And his delivery, it's so uncomfortable to watch half the crowd not get what he's going to, like the comedians in the back were howling, and about half the crowd was like, I don't understand. That's not that funny. You know, it's like something from the 20s. Classic Norm.
And didn't like Jim Norton like go and bust on him, and then he broke the fourth wall and like got a standing ovation. We got to remember what the bit was.
Yeah, I can't remember. I know he was on the panel. I just went back and watched that section of it, I don't know, a month ago or so.
I need to watch that again.
So good.
Hey, Mark sent me that song, your new song. It's great.
Thank you. Yeah.
Oh, it's so good. I just see line dancing in every bar around the country when that song comes on. Like,
yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, it just kicks.
Thanks. So I sent it to my grandpa and sent him the lyrics too, so we could read them.
Not Willie, her other grandpa on her mom's side. I'm kidding.
Bob Smith.
Yeah.
A great guy.
Papa Bob.
Great
guy. But he loved it, and he said that he was like, when it gets released, we can play it on Willie's Roadhouse, which is a big deal for me because that's a super country station on Sirius. You know, usually we're
outlaw country.
You know, we're kind of a rock band, so that means it was country enough to him. You know,
I love it. I love it.
Yeah, I started writing that song right after I got divorced, and I was stuck at home with 3 little kids and 2 dogs, 5 cats, some hamsters, and a bird. And
you had a menagerie.
Yeah,
she was that woman.
Yeah, it's since we've been traveling more, it's not as many, but
yeah, she euthanized about half of them because she got tired of taking. I'm kidding.
Poor kids.
yeah, and 1 kid too. She had 4 kids originally, but he didn't make the cut.
Pick the best one, you know.
Your grades aren't going well, and
and we can only afford to feed 3 of you, so.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah. So I wrote it called I Was Free because I felt that way at the time, even though I was stuck at home, you know, just being divorced. And I felt like, whoa. And I felt like a good time to put it out. I feel like all of us feel free now that we've gotten through the pandemic, you know, because, you know, nobody talks about COVID anymore. I don't know if y'all are aware.
It's not happening. It didn't happen in Texas, as I found out.
It never happened.
On the way here. People looked at me when I showed up to the airport with a mask on, like, they were, what the fuck is wrong with this guy?
He's not even Asian.
And I was just, you know, I'm just doing this because I was told to, and and I walk in, if everybody's staring at me, I'll take it off if this is making you uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I worked in Atlantic City this weekend, and it was weird to see certain pockets of people still wearing masks when you're on stage, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
For the most, I'd say 90% of the audience, maybe even more, was maskless, but there were those groups.
Well, because it was Atlantic City, and most of the audience, 90% of the crowd was over 90 years old.
They're on their way out anyway.
But it is interesting to see that. You wonder why they're wearing the mask. Are they not vaccinated, or because there are places here where if you're not vaccinated, you still have to wear a mask.
Right.
So I don't know what the reasoning was, but it's like, all right, that's weird. There's 4 people here and 3 people there, you know.
Yeah.
And Mark Riccadonna, apparently.
I'm like a superhero now. Like when I have a mask on, people are like, "Oh, that must be Batman." Like they forgot that there was even a whole pandemic and all that shit. Like, oh shit! Look at this mask. Guy.
Did you guys have COVID?
Yeah, I think I never tested positive for it, but actually after our last, we went and played Texas, and I got back for 3 days. Like I had a bad sore throat for a couple of days and then stuffy for a week. So I assume that was what it was.
Yeah, I had it. My kids got it
Yeah.
not this last Christmas, but the Christmas before, and I didn't get it at all. And then they got it again in January, I guess a different strain or whatever. And I got that one. But my daughter didn't get it the first time, and she got it the second time. And so she was really bad off in January. It got scary, y'all. I mean, her fever got it to 104, and she was talking out of her head. It's like 3:00 in the morning. I'm like, we need to go to the bath. You need to get in the bathtub. Because that's the cure for a fever that I
Cool
always
them down.
get in the lukewarm tub. And she's like talking way crazy. I have a cup and I'm pouring water over her body, just trying to cool it down. And she goes, "What is that?" And I said, "It's a cup." And she goes, "I like it. I like that thing." I mean, like, and she's 12 years old, she knows what a cup is. I mean, she was just literally so gone. That one scared me. But
yeah, this is a lot like pretty much the band does this after every show. Raelyn starts talking and acting crazy, and we have to stick her in a bathtub and pour water on her, and she's just talking nonsense until she falls asleep. Then we throw her out of this,
I like that.
We roll her on her side so she doesn't throw up and swallow it and that kind of thing. Because then I'd have to sing songs. But yeah.
Yeah, sorry to bring it all heavy. Thanks for making it funny.
Yeah,
Yeah, but she's fine. But
she lived. She's mildly retarded now, but she lived. She's not.
As long as it's mild.
I had it Christmas to New Year's. Both
2 years in a row.
So
Nice.
Because
yeah.
Richie has a kissing booth that he opens up every year around the holidays. He tongue kisses everyone on Long Island.
COVID kisses. That's a song if there ever was one.
That's a great song. That's a great
Sounds like a
Please
good-
write that and make it about Richie Byrne.
Yeah. Okay.
We're on it. We'll make it a holiday song
Writing it
too.
down
It's a
so I don't
Christmas
forget.
song since it's a Christmas tune.
There's a theme with Richie. It's some people do toys for tots. He does tongues for teenagers. I don't know.
Teenager.
Well, at least they're teenagers.
Yeah, not tots. That's good.
Tongues for tots is not going to work.
Somebody's gonna text me.
1877 tongues for tots.
Wow.
Hey, I like that everybody who comes on the podcast immediately knows to make fun of Richie. That's like
You.
well, for the longest time, I opened every show with talking about Richie being a lesbian.
It was hard to argue that one, though.
But now you grew the gruff in. I can't make the joke work.
Yeah, I grew a beard. It's literally a beard.
You had to throw the beard to throw us off scent.
Beard.
So you guys are also shooting the video for the song, right? And you guys are
Yes.
when do you guys think you're going to release it? Because it's really good.
So the main part of the video, I need to film it in a school, and I'm having a hard time finding one to rent out for a while. I don't know I think every time someone looks up Raelyn Nelson, when they Google it, they see weed and whiskey. And I'm not sure if they're like so gun and co down here in the South to let that person come in and do a video.
Probably like, what's this video going to be? Yeah.
Yeah.
But I feel like because of your bloodline, it's kind of more acceptable. I mean, even like my uncle, it's like your grandpa's biggest fan, and he's very straight and narrow. But if you make a joke about Willie smoking weed, he's giggling and he thinks it's the funniest thing. I feel like there's a pass. There should be a pass.
Yeah, I think
So
the
you're
problem
giving me
is
permission to drop the name?
Yeah, I think the problem is you're not Willie Nelson.
Yeah,
that might be the problem.
Yeah, but it's the bloodline.
Yeah,
Right?
that's the bloodline, JB.
Yeah, it's the bloodline, I guess, but
I think you should get free pass.
Oh
if-
God, don't tell her that.
On everything.
Jesus.
Yeah, I love it.
It's problem enough as
If
it
you
is.
can't get a free pass, like Snoop Dogg's kids can't get a free pass,
That's a good point.
who
Yeah,
does?
Yeah.
And it's like it's getting to be legal everywhere, so people have to like
Yeah.
really let that go.
Oh, they really have actually in Nashville.
Yeah, it's not
The
too bad.
DA said if you get caught with anything less than a half ounce, I'm not even going to prosecute it. So,
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
we
mean,
were
New York,
decriminalized
it's
for a while.
But he was high when he said that.
that's true. You check back with him now and make sure he still stands by that.
I mean, New York City still, it smells like a church at all times. Everywhere you walk, it's like
It's unbelievable now. In
it
Manhattan,
actually. Manhattan's gotten worse than it used to be because
I mean, 8 o'clock in the morning, everywhere you walk, you smell weed. You're like, this is like everywhere.
I'm
like, fuck it, I'm smoking all the time.
I'm fine with the weed smell. It was the other day when I was getting the Metro card, and there was a guy next to the Metro card thing shooting up, and he like looked at me and asked me like, "Hey man, you got a couple bucks?" And he's needle in arm in the middle of doing it, and I'm just like, I don't know if you should do that here.
Yeah, but to be fair, at least the heroin doesn't smell.
Yes,
That's true. Well,
It's more conscientious to shoot heroin than be smoking weed on the street, man. Come on.
I was on the subway. This was about a month and a half ago, and there was a guy like full bent over, like just out,
Completely
like
nodded out.
Yeah, completely out. And there was cops right on the train, standing there, and all this shit fell out of his pockets. His needles, his packets of the heroin, all falls on the thing. He gets up and he looks, and then he goes to reach for it, and then he passes back out. And then he just let out the loudest, wettest shart I've ever heard. And I just looked at the cops and go, I guess New York's back.
We don't get fun things like that here. We get stuff like you'll see trucks on the side of the road on fire sometimes, and that's kind of cool. You'll see trucks like ran into houses sometimes.
Yeah, on the way to your house one time, I was like, are you aware that it was like one of your neighbors has a pickup truck right through the front door? It looked like it was it wasn't an accident. Somebody rammed that front door and it stayed. You had the blue tarp on it for a while.
Yeah.
That was, he was actually putting an addition on.
Yeah.
That's how we do it in Robertson County. Yeah.
Did you go to see Don and Jim when they were just down?
No, we were playing in
Where were we? We were out of town. What was that?
April. It was in April.
Was it Texas the second time? No. I don't know. We were somewhere.
We were somewhere, but we had we were in Indianapolis and
that's where
Hamilton, Ohio, which is actually a really cool town to play in. Hamilton, Ohio.
Nice.
I'm sure
It's
Indianapolis
actually really close to Chappelle's place.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was
Hamilton.
there. He was at our show.
He opened. Just kidding.
But yeah, I actually did have a drink with Jim Florentine down at Kid Rock's bar the night before and met his whole family. Yeah, they were cool. It wasn't very long. I only stayed for a minute. I had to go get my dog to my friend.
Yeah, Jim's 6-year-old can really knock him back. You got to watch her around him.
Yeah, it was really loud in there. They had a cover band playing, and so there wasn't a whole lot of hanging.
Wait, it was loud at Kid Rock's bar? That's crazy.
It was actually fun. I kind of like it where you're kind of like, hey, like yelling at people to. Yelling thoughts at people.
She does have fun yelling at people, that's for sure.
Only when I'm on my period.
It seems like every other week, but I don't know.
It seems like
She's a
heavy flow year.
Exactly.
Yeah, I know when I start yelling at people on text message because they said something.
Yeah, we all know when you're about to start because you start yelling at people too.
Road rage and stuff. I'm like, this stuff never bothers me ever. And yeah, just for a few days, once a month.
That's same with Richie. JP, I'm with you. I get the same treatment from Richie when he's on his period.
They'll probably get synced up with each other after this podcast.
Richie and Raelyn, what? We actually wrote a song about it called Good Time.
It's true.
It's a period song.
We have a song about her menstrual cycle.
I ask if anyone's on their period, before we play.
Yeah.
Every time, too. Everybody loves it.
It's never silent. There's always somebody.
I love it. So what we started with this. Let's circle back. What's the worst excuse you guys ever used for being late to something?
The worst excuse?
Yeah, or the best. Maybe it worked.
Oh man, I'm usually just like I'm terrible at time management.
Well, the thing about Raelyn is she doesn't have to make an excuse because it is expected that she will not be on time.
Yeah. I'm not good at time management.
Actually, I take that back. When we've set a time to leave town and we meet at her house to go, she's always on time there.
One of my best friends, Daisy, she goes, time integrity is a thing. And I'm like, I've never heard of that. You've just made that shit up. My kids, when they did go to school, were literally late every single day. Every day.
She's terrible.
Had to sign them in every single day.
I'm like the opposite. I'm painfully early to everything because I'm so worried about being late that I lie to myself of what time I have to be there, what time I'm supposed to do everything, and I'm painfully early.
Yeah, that's what I have to do. I have to tell myself it's early if I'm gonna be on time, but then I still know I lied to myself. So,
well, see, I'm not smart enough to catch my lie. Richie, how about you? What's your worst?
Well, I don't. You know what I do, Mark? When back when I was kind of newer in the business, you're stuck in traffic, and this is back before cell phones, so you couldn't even call to say you're gonna be late. So you'd walk in and you're just a mess because you're worried they're gonna tell you to go home. And you're always like, oh man, traffic. Oh my God, this, that, the. But now I don't really give a shit, and I have to. So now I remember what I was like back then, and I pretend like I'll walk in. No, I won't even run in. I'll just walk in. But when I get in, I'm like, oh my God, I'm so glad he came. I don't really care. If you send me home, you send me home. I just don't care anymore. Whatever.
Tom, come on real quick and show us, give us our favorite excuse we've ever gotten on the podcast.
Sorry. Hello. I didn't know I was on it. Let me see if I have it in the brand. I know I have it on my phone, but I'm gonna see if I have it over here.
What?
Do you remember we had Tony Woods on and he never showed up?
Oh,
Wow!
And this was the text message right here.
We never talked about drinking. Yeah.
He hit a squirrel. He couldn't make it.
It's hilarious because. Is that the dead squirrel right there?
Dead squirrel?
Yeah,
by the tire? So not only did he hit the squirrel, he managed to stop right on top of the squirrel.
Yeah.
He didn't run over it. He just skidded to a halt right on top of it, it looks like.
I have a theory that he carries the dead squirrel with him wherever he goes. And when he does that.
But
yeah, it's like my flat tire picture. He just keeps a dead squirrel in the trunk.
Yeah. And how would that keep you from being somewhere? You'd think you could just leave.
Well, he's got to do last rites and, say a prayer. That's going to take time. Got to get a hold of his family.
Yeah, it's a lot involved.
Get a hold of his family.
You don't want his family finding out on a podcast or something. You want to get right to him.
I know. If we're breaking the news to the squirrels, this is really bad.
We actually had a podcast scheduled today to do with a comedian, and he sent us an email with a picture of his mouth all with gauze in it.
And he had to get some.
He's had to fly to Vegas for emergency dental surgery. So that's not a bad one.
Why would you go to Vegas to get that done?
I don't know. That was pretty, I was just like, mouth angels,
And you just slot machines in the background of the picture. Yeah, I'm in Vegas. My teeth are all fucked up.
He's like, hey, man, can somebody find me some gauze here real quick?
That napkin will do.
Yeah. That kind of what it looked like. I think we might be onto something.
I think he is probably just didn't want to do it, maybe.
This guy's a fraud. I don't know who it is. Ban him! He's banned from the podcast.
Whatever. Richie, we got to get you on.
We never talked drinks today, Mark.
Oh, yeah. What are you guys drinking? I know you guys got back from the road, so you're hydrating.
I'm drinking water.
LaCroix.
Nice. Richie?
I'm having a little Irish coffee. Little J-Mo.
Nice. I did the Heart of Texas Red Ale, and then Surprisingly, I didn't get to it, but I also bought a Lakewood lager.
Oh, very nice.
Oh,
down
yeah.
at the desk.
I drank my entire drink while I was waiting in the back. So I had Gibbons, which is like a tequila infused lime drink, which was fun.
Really?
Ooh,
Yeah.
Heard of it?
Yeah, you know
to
what?
give that a try.
Somebody that was promoting an event gave me a bottle of it. And I was like, all right, it's delicious. It's a little tart. It's like it tastes more lime than tequila, but it's good.
nice.
Yep.
Yeah. Tequila and a little club soda with a little lime. It's delicious.
Yes.
That's tequila's I think that's my favorite liquor.
I can't do it.
Yeah.
No.
I had a
You don't
bad
actually do
experience.
bad things.
Are
I
you
think that
now?
helped.
Is there a tequila story that you guys want to share
Yes.
before we wrap up? Richie, what happened to you to make you never drink tequila again?
It was the day before my 18th birthday, and we were doing shots. I was in a play, and after the play, we were at a party, and my buddy was giving me like rocks glass shots, and everybody else was doing regular shots, and I didn't notice. Like I was too young. I remember going, why is it taking me so much longer to down the shot than everybody else? But because he was giving me more. And the next thing I knew, I was sick as a dog. This girl was hanging all over me. And the next thing I knew, she wasn't.
Because you used her as a toilet?
I was so sick. My God. And I had to do the play that night, completely hungover on my 18th birthday.
Oof.
And even the smell of tequila now makes me nauseous.
Yeah, I have a story, but it was my friend in high school. We were probably way too young to drink, probably 16, probably 16. Anyway, we were down at the park, probably a mile and a half away from where we lived. And he had a bottle and he put it all down and ate the worm. And he was riding a moped, one of those old school. So he made it back to his house, but crashed the moped in his front ditch and kind of flung himself laying there. So the cops, and this is a pretty small neighborhood. The cops, like 3 cops in the town, they pull up and see this kid laying there, obviously dead from a moped accident. And I think he called in the ambulance or whatever. But apparently he went to the back of his car to get the sheet to throw over my buddy, because just assuming he was dead, laying on the side of the road. But yeah, they finally got the ambulance there. They had to pump his stomach, the whole, too young to. But yeah, he was down for the count.
Wow.
You've never met him. No, I think he's a homeless guy now. But anyway, that's a whole nother story.
He's the guy that Mark met with the heroin needle in his arm.
Yeah, exactly.
Get the bank.
Oh,
Oh my God.
I
I
was
go,
gonna say,
Tom.
I ended up walking through the Holland Tunnel. That was my tequila Patron night. It was a
That's
long,
not good.
horrible night. But yeah, I ended up surrounded by cops. It was got into an argument with somebody in the car because of the Patron. Threw water on him. He's like, "I'll kick you out of the car." I was like, "I'll get out of the car right now." And we were in the middle of the Holland Tunnel. Climbed up on the walkway, and then proceeded to walk wasted. Surrounded by police. Police take us out, right? Post 9/11. So they come, the guy comes over to the window. I'm calling every cop I know wasted, trying to get out of it, right? Not even dialing the right numbers, like leaving these random weirdo messages. Swear to God. I had a friend, Jared, who was a cop that I used to work out with. We were gym buddies. So I was calling him. Instead, I called a tenant of mine who lives in Binghamton, that goes to college in Binghamton. And I'm like, Jared, what are you doing? He's like, I'm in the library studying. I'm like, what the fuck are you studying for? I'm like, I'm about to get arrested. I need some help over here. Blah, blah, blah. I was like, all right, I'll see you at the gym later. Bye. Hang up on him. That was it. And he was my tenant. Don't even remember the conversation. Now the guy comes over to the window. He's like, license? He's like, you have a good excuse for walking through the Holland Tunnel post 9/11? I'm like, yeah, I'm wasted. He's like, no, you're not. You're claustrophobic. I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm wasted. So he's like, you're claustrophobic. My friend turns around. He's like, he's giving you the out. Take the out. I'm like, oh, I'm claustrophobic and I'm wasted. And I hand him the license. He runs it and he lets me go. Thank God. I was blessed. He didn't want to do the paperwork. He must have been end of shift.
Oh my God.
That was my
Raelyn, what's your liquor that you can't have? Because there's a
Tequila.
story.
Yeah,
It's tequila?
Yeah, I'll just throw up. It's not really interesting. I'll just puke everywhere. I'm definitely just a session IPA beer girl, kind of strictly. Just, I'll drink a lager or something that's a full-blown beer sometimes. But
Well, it's good
Yeah.
you know that.
yeah, moderately. Yeah.
Moderate alcoholic.
Yeah, I do my alcoholism with moderation. But I will say, if you ever come to Nashville, you should go to this tiny little place called Los Nietos. It means the grandchildren in Spanish, but it's the best the best Mexican food in town, in my opinion, and they make great margaritas. So every now and then I would go and like share one with my sister or something, but I can't do too much, it's just make me puke.
But can you smoke? Do you smoke well?
I smoke weed all day long, every day.
There you go.
Yeah, but I do one hits, so I'm not, completely stoned smoking joints all day long. I would sometimes, but usually that's not when I have to do a whole lot of things. I'd rather just do that when you're chilling, watching podcasts, being lazy. But one hits are the best. When we were where were we? Farm Aid?
Yeah.
Where we met the
Jazz Preservation Hall band. And they're like 80-year-old clarinet player.
Yeah, his trick was to, whenever he would land in a town, he would go to the drugstore and get those eyedroppers. Okay. And you get a pack of them for $2, and there's 2 of them in there. And you take the black rubber piece off, and it's a one-hitter,
Turns into a glass pipe, just like that. And he's like, man, and if the fuzz comes on, you just throw it down and smash it. This guy's been doing it since the 60s.
Yeah. Wow. So I don't know if you can see it. Wait, can you see that?
Hold still.
This guy pretty much invented the one-hitter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I just do that.
And I don't know that
smoke out of glass. Anyway.
I don't know that the crack guys ever figured that out, because they were snapping off antennas and using the steel thing. I don't know that they ever figured out medicine droppers.
It's funny. A comedian friend of mine who's actually from Texas used to go to. He goes, as soon as I land, I go to a sporting goods store and I get the pump for to pump up a basketball, the little needle with the thing.
Oh yeah.
He goes, it's a perfect one hitter.
That's another great one.
God.
It's got the little ball on the end.
Yeah.
Smart.
Or you can Paul Provenza it and just smoke out of an apple, and then as soon as the cop comes.
Yep.
I've done that.
That's good. I've seen Margot Price pictures where she has a magnifying glass with the sun in an apple, and that's how she smokes. It's pretty. Yeah, I thought that was pretty nifty.
Nice. All right, we got to wrap up here because we hit the 2 o'clock. 2 o'clock for us. 3
that
o'clock.
went by fast.
I know. You guys are so much fun to talk to.
Yeah. See you guys again.
Yeah.
Should we end with a joke?
Say what?
Do we want to end with a joke?
I don't have any.
You guys have a joke you'd like to share with us?
Did I already tell all my other jokes?
Yeah, all I know are street jokes.
That's what we love.
Why didn't Hitler drink?
Tequila.
Because it made him mean.
Hey,
That's my favorite Hitler joke.
That's a good one.
No, that's the only one.
Yeah, that's probably the only one.
Tell the dog one.
Oh, no, you don't know the other one? The one about
No.
2 guys are drinking in a bar, and they look across the bar, and there's an old man sitting at the end of the bar. And the one guy goes, dude, I think that's Hitler. He goes, it's not Hitler. Hitler's dead. He goes, I'm telling you, that old man is Hitler. And he goes, no way. He goes, let's go over and ask. So they go over and they ask. And he goes, are you Hitler? And he goes, yes, I am. No one knows I'm alive. And they go, well, what are you up to? He goes, I'm planning my next big event. I'm coming back. And they go, well, what are you going to do? He goes, I'm going to kill 10,000 Jews and 1 circus clown. I go, why a circus clown? He goes, you see, nobody cares about the Jews.
Well, I think that's the closer. Thank you for tuning in. That's been Drinks, Jokes, and Storytelling. Good night, everyone.
Bye.